How are you doing today? Good evening, everybody. Hello, Nishant. Hi, Marsh. Hello, Vissel. Hi, Amol, Gaurav, Henry, Ikra, Jared, Jawahari, Josh. Good evening. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. Hi, Sai. Hello, Surya Suresh. Hi, Tarek. Hi, Mujib, Monica, Michael, Josh. Good evening. Good evening. And thank you so much for coming for the third session. Today is Friday. And if you're here, then this is an important session for you. And it's equally important for us. And I do want to tell you that we completed two other sessions on Monday and Wednesday. And all these recordings have been sent to you. Today is the final complimentary session, and after this Saturday, Sunday, you must talk to us or start off registration. This session will be conducted 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and for a period of 2.5 months. And you will specialize to become a business analyst in a ServiceNow technology, which is in super high demand right now. And I'm very excited for you. With that, I will pass the session to Nishant. He's our principal consultant, and he has got tons of experience in helping a lot of folks move into ServiceNow business analyst career. And with his expertise, he will make sure that you're job ready. And some house rules. I just want to make sure that please, mute your mics. And if you have any question, raise your hand emoji so that the trainer can reach out to you. And Nishant, you also have the ability to mute folks if you see if there is any sound coming in. Okay. Good evening, Nishant, and floor is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Sudesh. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Hope you all are doing good. And thank you for being with us. We have completed two sessions. Today is our third session, and our focus would be on understanding Agile, right? So I'll start with a quick revision, what we did in a previous class. Let me first share my screen and then we can just a moment. Think. Okay, can you see my screen? Can you please confirm? Hide floating menu. Okay, so we want to do Agile and Scrum today. Okay, so in the last two classes, we started first with what exactly, like session one, who is a ServiceNow BA? And if I talk in a very simple term, what is a BA, right? What he does, what are the roles and responsibilities of a BA? Now, in second session, we discussed about when we understood about what is a BA, in the second session we understood where exactly BA would be performing those responsibilities, where BA would be contributing. So he would be or she would be contributing in a project. And how does a project looks like? What is the duration of project? What are the various phases of project? What are the expectations in the various phases? What BA would be doing in those phases? This is what we discussed in session 2. We also discussed one part, that one of the method by which a project is delivered is waterfall method. Right? Can any one of you tell me what exactly was the problem with waterfall method? Just one or two problems.
Yes, when requirement is 100% correct, then we will go with this waterfall methodology.
Okay, when requirement is 100% correct. As in, we know complete end-to-end information. We know end-to-end requirement of waterfall method. I mean, of a project, then only we can use waterfall method. Correct? Any other not pain points, any other problem with waterfall method? Ikra, I think you were raising your hand. Yes, Ikra.
Yeah, it's difficult to make any changes. You have to wait for another cycle to make another requirement cycle to make any changes.
Difficult to make changes. Correct. One more, and then we'll move to our today's session.
And you can only like you cannot skip step. You have to like follow each and every step and go in order.
Perfect. You cannot skip, and there is a linear way to a linear. Let me first correct my spelling. Okay, there is a linear process. First stage, second stage, third stage, fourth stage. Even if you skip one stage, you will mess up whole requirement, whole project, right? We also discussed one important point that most of the project you would be working on, almost 90 to 95% would not be using waterfall. They would be using agile, right? Hardly 5% would be using waterfall. And even in that case, they must be having complete visibility of the requirement right from the day one, which is very difficult, right? Because you're always discovering something new when you're going on the journey with a customer of implementing something for a customer. Okay, so today we want to understand this process which is widely accepted, widely used, and is in demand. So we'll quickly come here. I will start from here. Agile and Scrum framework. Here we want to understand what exactly is Agile, what is Agile mindset, what are the various roles, what are the ceremonies, what are the artifacts that you need to deliver, and how BA works in Agile. Okay, by the end of this session, you will get to know what are the roles, different roles, what is the meaning of ceremonies, and how different ceremonies are conducted, and what is your responsibility, what are the artifacts, and how do you work. Okay, first I'll start with Agile. What is Agile? We have been hearing a lot of things about Agile. Agile is a replacement of waterfall method, and Agile is, being used by most of the companies. So Agile is first a different way of working, and it is all about thinking that, if I have been given a task, how I would be working on that task, right? So it's a mindset. Now I want to tell you about these things. First, it focuses on flexibility, right? Second, there is a lot of collaboration. Third, you deliver a customer value, and it is delivered quickly. Okay, now when I'm reading these things, I think you already have a picture in your mind that I think this is somewhere, helping me or overcoming the pain points that I was having in waterfall method, right? I will have a I will have a slide in next. You will see next slide wherein I'll show you the difference between agile and waterfall. Second part is whenever you are delivering these requirements, right? You always want to deliver in small chunks. When I say small chunks, it means you don't want to deliver all of the product in one go. If I show you diagrammatically, it is like there is this is your project, and okay, and this is your whole project, and these are different parts, like first part, second part, and third part, and so on. I think it should show me something. Okay, let it be. So these are the different parts of a project. Now, in waterfall method, you have this requirement, you start working on all of them together. Just think of delivering all of these requirements in a single go. First, the duration. I mean, time it will take to deliver all of these things. And suppose it is taking 7 months. I'm just taking a rough number. Okay. It is taking 7 months to complete. First, customer will never have any visibility. Like this is my first month, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you started from here. This is your day 1. And this is day 30 of 7th month. Okay. Now, when we start working from here, first month, second month, third, fourth, fifth, customer is having no visibility what is going on, right? Until unless you reach 7 month, that you will know these things that, it is working or not working. If it works, all of them, super. But if it breaks, maybe out of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, out of this 20 high level, if I tell you high level requirements, maybe uh, 10 are not working, or maybe 5 is not working. You will come to know about the non-working part only at the 7th month. So this is the problem with waterfall. Now what you will do in agile, suppose this is your complete requirement, you want to pick one chunk that maybe I want to deliver first P1 and P2, and so as I mentioned, this part you deliver it in a short development cycle, and this cycle is known as sprint, right? So the duration of any sprint is minimum 2 weeks and maximum 4 weeks. Okay. So even if suppose I'm taking an average time, maybe 3 weeks you're taking to deliver a sprint. In a sprint, I have only two requirements, P1 and P2. Right. So at least by third week, client knows that I have a working product. Out of my 20 requirements, 2 are working. Right. So that is the benefit of Agile. At the same time, when you're working, even in those 3 weeks, there is a frequent feedback, there is a continuous improvement, even if there is now you see, even after P1, P2 you have worked on, and then customer wants to suggest something, you can include it. Here, there is no scope of improvement. You will have to wait for the next release. So this is what Agile is in short. Right. So Agile helps teams deliver working software faster with fewer surprises. What are those surprises? Those surprises are issues. Those surprises are non-functional requirement, as in non-functioning requirement. These are not working. So you'll get to know only after maybe end of the project of in case of waterfall. But in case of Agile, you know that it is working. Even if it is not working, you're already aware. In the first month itself, you know, or maybe in the second month, third month, fourth month. All of these surprises are not coming at the end. That is Agile. Okay. Now, a quick contrast, like why we want to use Agile in place of waterfall. So as we have already seen, waterfall has a linear phase. First, a building phase, right? Then you requirement gathering phase. There is a design phase, development, testing, and then you deploy. In Agile, you have small chunks, right? As I just mentioned. Do not worry if you're not able to understand it. At the end of the session, I'll have a complete summary of all of these things in a picture. And when I will be telling you that picture, you will be able to connect these things, right? For now, just understand these small components. So first is iterative cycle, like for 2 weeks, so 2 or 3 weeks, you will be having a working product. At least some part of your requirement will be working. Second is requirements are fixed. That I will be working on 20 requirements. It is same throughout my software development lifecycle. But in case of Agile, if you want to, like requirements can be, they can evolve. And if you want to bring in new requirement, if something can be accommodated, so you definitely want to include it, right? Then here it is less customer involvement. And in case of Agile, customer involvement, their feedback, their and all the communication, collaboration is at top priority. How? That we will be seeing in the next slides. Then it is slow to deliver value, as there is a wait, there is a duration that you'll have to wait to get those values. But in case of Agile, it is a frequent delivery. Here, hard to incorporate change. Here, changes are welcome and they are easy to incorporate. And in ServiceNow, since ServiceNow is a tool, or I will not call it a tool. ServiceNow is a platform where always requirements are changing, right? Because ServiceNow itself is upgrading itself. So you will get to know about what is upgrade, what are new releases in ServiceNow when we will start ServiceNow, maybe in after six session. When we'll start our 7th session in the second phase, you will get to know what is ServiceNow, uh, uh, what are the different releases of ServiceNow, how ServiceNow is accommodating with the current changes, what is happening, right? So even when ServiceNow is changing, so ServiceNow is adopting Agile. Any question from anyone? Okay. Here I would like to take a pause. The first two slides, what is Agile? What is the difference between Agile and Waterfall? Any query from anyone?
I have a question.
Okay. Yes, please.
So, if Agile is frequent delivery, everything, I mean, it has the advantage. Why would somebody still go with waterfall?
Good question. First of all, as I mentioned, if you are completely aware that my requirements are same only, right? 100%. These are, they will not change. And then there are um, uh, certain methods. For example, when you're using waterfall, you're already aware. I have been given a task. It all comes down to the project. When I say project, there are certain factors associated with the project. First part is how many resources I'm having. Second is what is my budget, right? And then third is my duration. Now, when I have my duration fixed, that I have to deliver it in maybe 4 months, right? And there is something wherein I do not want a customer, or maybe customer is saying that maybe I'll give you this particular scope of work and you deliver in 4 months. Wherein customer doesn't have to be there most of the time with you. You can work on this piece on your own. Right. Second, you know that these requirements are already fixed. They will not be changed. If it is 5 requirements, the requirements will be 5 throughout your duration. In that case, you want to adopt to waterfall method. In other case, where even you are not sure, right? Because whenever a project is starting, you always will be having a discovery call in the starting, when you want to discuss. First, you will be given what is high level requirements, but to break those requirements, to understand what exactly should be there by end of this duration, you would want to understand their requirement. So if the requirements are not clear, you would be discovering those requirements throughout this process, then you would want to go with Agile. That is the case with most of the requirements nowadays, because even customers' pattern and their behavior is changing. Customer also wants to be involved in your journey of software development lifecycle. These were the days of maybe 5 years, 6 years back, when waterfall was uh, in demand. But nowadays, even customer wants to have a journey. Customer also want.
Machine? Nah, I ain't break. You why you say that, Chris?
I got no other personal plans. And I. Okay, so that is the reason we want to go for agile. Even the requirements is coming from the agile itself. I mean, from the customer itself that I want to use agile project methodology. Are we good with this? Or any other query? Santosh, you understood?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I just gave a thumbs
Okay.
up.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Fine. So that is the difference between agile and waterfall. And so if I talk about at a very high level, the four core values that you will be deriving from using agile is that you want to focus on all the individuals and interactions that is happening. In other method, you want to, like in waterfall or other methods, you want to focus more on process and tools. But here you want to have, like, if you have some issues, instead of following the process, you want to connect with the person, with the right stakeholder, and get things work done, get the work done, get the things done, right? Then you want a working software rather than that you have done a lot of documentation, you have created all the like PRDs, FRDs, everything is there, but this is there on the page only. I do not have a working software. Here you will have less documentation but more of a working prototype. Then customer collaboration. Right. Here you want to have a collaboration, like customer is saying, I want to make changes. You will sit with the customer, like where do you want to make changes and what are your requirements? Can we do it this way? Can we do it other way? You will try to incorporate their feedback. In other, you will tell them that, this is what we discussed. We can only deliver 10 requirements or maybe 20 requirements. We discussed these only. This was confirmed, committed. It will be difficult for me to make change at this moment. But in case of agile, you want to focus on, okay, if you want to make change, please let me know what is the change. I will try to include it in this sprint or maybe other sprint. Yes, Monica.
Yes, this customer collaboration, who will
Mhm.
negotiate? Is the BA or any other product owner? Or who is going to negotiate all this?
You will have to wait for another 10 minutes. This is I'm covering in my upcoming slides.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
Then responding to change as a method, as I mentioned that in this agile, you can you will be responding to change. You can accommodate the change. You can work on the change, right? So you will focus more on people and outcomes rather than on documentation overload. Yes, Michael.
Thank you. Please, could you run through like the basics of agile principles before you dive into the comparing agile with waterfall methods just a little bit, Thank you.
Perfect. So if you see, my next slide is on principles of agile only. Okay. So if I tell you there are 12 principles of agile. Okay. Now it will be difficult to go through all of those one by one, but I can always give you a gist, right? So if I tell you on a very high level, if a summary of what exactly is agile and what are the principles, these are your principles that you want to deliver early, you want to deliver continuously. You will be welcoming changing requirements. You will work closely with the stakeholders. You want to deliver a working product frequently. You want to keep things simple rather than complicated. And then you always want to reflect and improve. There will always be a room for doing a introspection. like what you delivered, what are the things that went well, what were the issues, what lessons we learned, what is it that we get, what are the takeaways from this project. So you always have a retrospective. Okay. If you even if you look at the 12 principles that are there in the Agile, they will be telling you these things only. Right. I hear it, you consider that it's a crash course. That I can tell you these things, these are important, which you will be using directly in your project. I can take 2 or 3 more sessions on Agile only, but it will be of no use, to be very honest. Just going through these things will help you build a firm foundation of what all components would you be using in your project. So if I tell you the principles, these are your principles that are there, that tells you, what you are using in any of the project. This is what would be the outcomes that you will be delivering quickly. And if I show you the example, see, when I take small requirements, I can deliver within first 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Then welcoming changing requirements. Suppose I have worked on 2 and now here in my second month or third month, client comes and says, I want to make change. You definitely can include because your cycle is small, all of only 2 or 3 weeks. Work closely with stakeholders. This I'll tell you how do you work closely with stakeholders? Then you deliver working product frequently. You're delivering after every 3 weeks or 4 weeks, you deliver something. You want to keep things simple, right? Then reflect and improve. This also, the point number 3 and point number 6, you will see in the upcoming slides, right? Now, one of the widely used agile framework is your Scrum, right? So Scrum has these component. First is what are the rules in Scrum? What are the ceremonies in Scrum? What are the artifacts and what are the sprints? So the method which I just explained you right now is your Scrum. Okay. Similarly, Agile has another methods also through which you can run a project. There is XP. XP is called Extreme Program. Okay. Then if someone would have heard of Kanban, Kanban is there, right? And then we have Scrum also there. There are 2, 3 more, but out of all of them, you will see Scrum is winning hands down. Almost every project would be going through Scrum only, right? So that is why I would be only teaching you those information or those concepts, those methods, which you will be using in your project, right? So here we want to discuss on Scrum. And I've already shown you a little glimpse of how scrums look like. These are the different roles, right? I think in the previous call, someone was asking what is a product owner, what is Scrum Master, and how do they fit into the project, right? So first I can tell you how Scrum actually works, and then what exactly you will see in your project. First is Scrum roles has a product owner. Product owner knows what product we want to develop, right? If I tell you, suppose this is your project. So this is in this project, I might have one product here. Like this is my one product. Or wait, let me put some other color. This is my one product and this is my another product. So here I can call it product number 1 and product number 2. Of all of these projects, I have a product owner. Product owner is managing all of these products, like 1, 2, there can be more products as well. So he owns a product backlog, right? This is how the requirements would be coming. There is one product, another product, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. There can be n number of products, right, in a project. Product owner would be having a lookout on what all products I'm having and what all requirements I'm getting on those products. Then he prioritize user stories. Now, what is user story? Suppose this is your one product and these are your requirements. This product would be further divided into epics, right? And those epics are further divided into user stories. Now, what is user story? What is epic? That I will be discussing in upcoming slides. But I just want to tell you that I have a product says that I want to build incident management. Or maybe I want to build ITSM. In ITSM has incident, ITSM has change, ITSM has problem, ITSM also have request, right? Now ITSM has these various categories, like various types of ticket, right? So I can have one epic on incident, and under incident I can further break it down into stories. My story 1, story 2, story 3, right? Similarly for here as well, I can have, this is my epic 1, this is epic 2, epic 3, epic 4, right? This is how you divide. And these small stories, like maybe you pick 10 stories from here and then you run a sprint for 2 or 3 weeks. Then you deliver that, incident is completed. The customer will look at the incident. Yes, incident is working. Then you would work on change. Then you would work on problem, request. Do not worry that you might seem that these terms, what is ITSM, what is incident, change, problem, request, might be new to you, but we are covering all of them in detail. I will be taking sessions on incident, what is incident, what are the information in incident, what are the different fields, how do you work on an incident, how do you create an incident, and how do you close an incident, right? Similarly, I would be working on change, problem, and request as well. We will be having a demo session. We will be understanding each and every field of uh, these types, ticket types. Okay, so product owner will be working on the different products and he will always have an understanding what kind of requirement is there in these products. Then I have second thing, which is Scrum Master. Scrum Master will never be, thinking about these technical things. That what is my what is ITSM, what is requirement, and everything. He will be only talking functionally. Right? He will be facilitating ceremonies. Ceremonies are your different types of cadence call or your meetings. What are the various meetings in Scrum? He would be organizing those meetings. He would be facilitating those meetings. If in case when you're working on a sprint and you're not able to deliver, or maybe you're not able to work on user story, there is some blocker, you're not able to get complete information. So these are some bottlenecks. These are some blockers. Scrum Master will be taking notes on those blockers, and maybe he would want to have a meeting, or he will be organizing separate meeting wherever it is required, and he would want to protect the team. Now, what exactly we are talking about team, that also we will be discussing now. So first part here is so two roles we have discussed, one PO, Scrum Master, and then third is your development team. Development team is comprising of your developers, testers, and maybe architect can also join these calls. You want to focus on delivering these product increments. So you remember that we have created stories. So these development team would be working on the stories. First, they will be developing. These stories are nothing but a very small component of the big requirement of this product. right? So they would be developing that small requirement and the testers would be testing those requirements. So that is the job of development team. Now, how BA would be performing these roles? So he would be, in case if we are having in a project, as I mentioned in the previous session, that a project might have a product owner, might not have a product owner. A project might have a scrum master, might not have a scrum master, right? But definitely he will be having a development team. Sometimes there is a cross-functional role that a BA might play. He might play the role of scrum master and he might play the role of product owner. But in case, even if you do not play the role of product owner, that also is fine. Maybe the PO would be from the client side. So you might be able to play this role. But what exactly you want to do here, you will get to know in upcoming slides. Right. Now, you want to help PO in requirements and backlog refinement. You anyway would be working on these requirements. You would be clarifying acceptance criteria. We'll know what is acceptance criteria in upcoming slides. You want to help these team understand what and why of any requirement. You remember in the previous session, we discussed one information that a BA would be focusing more on why of the requirement before even going to the how. And the second part is what. First, you want to understand why do you want to work on this requirement, why we have this requirement, and then you want to ask about what is this requirement and how do you want to deliver it, right? So these are various Scrum rules. And then if I talk about, I was mentioning that there are various, and I think Monica was asking, how do you connect with the different team members? How do you connect with the client and everyone, right? So first, these are the different ceremonies. In Scrum lingos, we call it ceremonies. But if I tell you in a layman term, it is the Scrum meetings, the various cadence. First is your sprint planning, where in sprint planning is nothing but suppose you have your product, you have these requirement, you want to discuss, like you have already written epics and you have already written stories. Now, based on the urgency and priority, you want to discuss what all stories I want to deliver in an upcoming sprint. First, let me highlight these words so that you know that sprint is something, then there is something called Scrum. We already discussed about Agile, user stories, epics. Okay. So you will be picking some stories that you want to deliver in a sprint based on the urgency and priority, or maybe the defined timeline. Maybe in the first month, I want to deliver incident. So I would be picking the stories from this incident part and I would be putting into the sprint. And then I will run a sprint for 2 to 3 weeks. First, this is my sprint planning. This is done, like suppose this is my week 1 and wait, let me start it from here. Week 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Week 2, week 3. And day 1, day 2, day 3. Right. Week 1, day 1, week 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. Similarly, week 2, and I can. Perfect. Okay. So on day 1, we have, let me first hide this, hide floating meeting control. Right. On day 1, what we did, sprint planning. I will mark it so you know what is SP. SP is your sprint planning. You have discussed what all stories you want to work on. Then all the stories have been assigned to the respective developers. They will start working on it, right? Then you have a daily scrum. Daily scrum, or you can call it a daily stand-up as well, right? So the very first day after sprint planning, you have already informed in sprint planning, you will be having all of these members, right? You will be having PO, Scrum Master, development team is there, BA is there, right? You've already distributed the work that maybe suppose you have 3 developers and 3 developers. Oh, yes. And you've already assigned them 2 stories, or maybe 6 stories, 4 stories, depending on this duration, right? Now on day 2, you will be starting with daily stand-up calls. Okay, daily stand-up calls, or you can call it daily scrum. It is a 15 minutes meeting. Okay, sprint planning usually happens for 30 to 60 minutes. Okay, but this scrum happens for 15 minutes. Just a quick catch up in a day. In the starting of the day, you want to discuss what did I do, as in what all you will ask developers what all we did yesterday. Second, what will I do today? What is it that you're going to do? Even on these 6 stories, you will ask them how many of them you have started working on. Maybe he's starting working on the first only. So you'll want to understand the status. Then any blockers. Do you see any blockers on the stories that you have created or you will be creating today? Based on it, if everything is fine, super. If at any point they feel like they need some clarity, they want to connect with the client, so this person, maybe if Scrum Master is there in your project, then Scrum Master would be organizing a meeting with the client quickly and would want to understand or clarify that particular piece. If not, then we are good. So this happens for like first week, second week, and third week. Maybe at the second week, or maybe here, we can do a sprint review, maybe mid here, or maybe at this end. In sprint review, you want to demo a working product to stakeholders. Usually sprint review is done at the end. If it in between, you need some feedback, some information, maybe you're working on a complicated piece, right? In incident, I have maybe 3 stories. Out of 3, this story 2 is very complicated or sensitive, wherein you need help from a client. So maybe you have developed it in the very first week. So here you can have a sprint review, not complete review, but for this story, you would want to take feedback like we have created this, is it working fine or not? In case you have any feedback, you can work in this sprint only, and you can, by the end of this sprint, you can deliver a working prototype, right? So in sprint review, you want to demo working product. Again, you will be having same stakeholders, the previous one. But in daily scrum, you will be having only development team. Okay, and maybe a BA. Or Scrum Master will be facilitating all the ceremonies. So you do not need product owner in your daily meetings. And even BA can skip certain calls. If he is required, he can be pulled into the call. So this is daily scrum, and then sprint review is done. Then there is a meeting called sprint retrospective. Sprint retrospective is, suppose at the end you are done with your sprint review. Sprint review, and this is delivered. This story is delivered, right? So now you want to have a sprint retrospective call. The sprint retrospective call, it is again of an half an hour, and the stakeholders are same as in the sprint planning, and you won't want to discuss in this entire 3 weeks of cycle what went well, what were the problems, what were the challenges, and what to improve, what are the takeaways. Maybe in the next sprint you can improve on those pieces. Correct. This is what we discuss in sprint retrospective call. So when I'm telling you these things, consider that you will be asked direct questions. That how many Scrum meetings are there? With this, you can tell them there are 4 meetings: sprint planning, daily Scrum, sprint review, and sprint retrospective. And then there is one called sprint backlog, but which is not part of here. Sprint backlog is nothing but wherein you want to discuss what sprint we want to execute first, or what all stories and everything we want to discuss. But on a very high level, these are your primary 4 Scrum ceremonies. So you can answer it this way. They might even ask you this question: can you tell me what do you do in a daily Scrum or daily stand-up call? So you will tell them it's a 15 minutes daily sync wherein I would be conducting a meeting with developers and testers, wherein I want to understand what they have done a day before, and was there any challenge in accomplishing that requirement, and what they will be doing today, and do they have clarity on it. If at any point they have any issue with the previous day or the current day's task, then I would be having a separate meeting with the right stakeholder and would want to remove the bottleneck or any issue if there is any. Right. So that is how you want to explain. They might also ask you, do you have a product owner, scrum master in your project? So based on your experience, like suppose I have worked with the project, and in that project, because the budget was limited, the resources were only that, there will be only a BA, you would be having development team. So BA might play the role of scrum master. Right. So you can tell them that I've played the role of scrum master. Fine. Any query on Scrum part so far? Because in the next we are moving towards stories, user stories. Any query from anyone so far?
I have a question. Hi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hi, Nishan, sorry. So, like, when we're doing the certification exam, right? I think that's called CSA. So, are we, shall we worry about more on the Scrum things in that, or is it not, it won't be related to that? Like, as you mentioned in the call, like, we'll be asking a question, like, what do you do in a daily stand-up? So, are we expecting more, like, how much is the percentage in the certification for the Scrum? Like, like, how would you rate the importance of Scrum in BA?
Okay, so thank you for the question, Afreen. But to be very honest, these
Yeah.
two are different world.
Okay.
ServiceNow
Yeah.
CSA is ServiceNow related. Okay, this is Scrum. So
Okay. No,
right
I
now
just
I
wanted to know,
have
like, do we have to worry on
sure.
this much? Like, do we
No,
need to
no, no,
gain
no.
more knowledge
That is
on
what
it, or
I'm
like
saying.
whatever we are knowing right
No,
now is
no.
that would that be
That
sufficient?
is what I'm telling you. We have not even reached to ServiceNow yet. So
Yes,
when
correct.
we'll reach to ServiceNow, then I'll explain what exactly is the composition of CSA. I'll also share what all questions will be there CSA that you have to prepare.
I
But
see.
just to answer your question,
Mm-hmm.
Scrum is not related to CSA. For Scrum, you will have Scrum related certificates. Scrum
Yes.
Alliance is there and some other org is there, right? For ServiceNow CSA, it is more about system admin of ServiceNow. So Scrum is not part of those topics. Okay,
Okay.
so
Thank you. Thank you,
be
Nishan.
assured, no question from Scrum in CSA.
Sure.
Okay. User stories. So now, if I tell you visually, user story is just a small component. But how do you write a user story? Okay. Do not worry that I am just explaining what is incident and all of these things. Incident will be covered, so you will get to know what exactly is an incident, what exactly is a change, right? But just to give you what is a user story, user story should be written clearly, it should be testable, it should be small enough, right? And then it should have an acceptance criteria. Now, what exactly are these terms? This is what we are covering in the next slide. But first, if I tell you a simple example, so user story, we follow a template. Just a moment. Okay. In user story, we follow a template, and the template is as a, let me write it here, as a dash, and dash is your persona. I want, and here is your action. What action do you want to perform? So that, and here you want to tell them what is the benefit. Okay. Now this is a template, or I can call it of a user story, right? How do you write a user story? If a simple example is, I have a login page. I'll not take example of ITSM. Very simple example. In this, I have been using in first or second session as well. First, I have username, and then I have password. The requirement is that you need to create a username and password so that when you enter the credential, you should be able to log in. Okay. Now, how I would write a user story? So why do you want to write a user story? Because developer would be picking this story and would be start their development work. Now, in this case, are you clear with the requirement that I want to? This is a small login page. And here, when I enter, the requirement is this, that when I enter username and password, I should be able to log in, right? Now, how I would write story on it? First, as I mentioned, as a persona. So what do you think is the persona here? Persona is nothing but the role, or who is the actor. So what is the persona here? I would be a user, end user, end user of this application where I'm logging in. Okay. So I will write as a, maybe this is a Gmail. Okay. As a Gmail user, I want to. Now, what action I want to perform here? I want to enter my credentials. What are my credentials? Username and password on login page of Gmail, or just login page. Are we clear that first I have written persona as a, what is my persona? I am a Gmail user. Second, what action I will be performing? I want to enter my credentials. Pardon my spelling, please. I want to enter my credentials. Now, third part is so that. Here, when we say benefit, as in when I'm taking this action, what I'm getting in response. So here, so that I should be logged into this page. Okay. So whatever action you're taking, there should be some benefit. When I say benefit, there should be a response, and it's a quantifiable response. So here, when I enter credential, I am logged into the page, right? So are we clear with how to write a user story? Any question or any doubt from anyone? This is how you write a user story. And as a BA, when requirements will be given to you, you will be converting those requirements into these user stories. And then these user stories will be passed on to your developers. They would be working on these, and then they will deliver a working user story. Now, the one part is how to write a user story, and then we also discussed about it should have an acceptance criteria. Okay, so what is acceptance criteria? acceptance criteria is nothing but how will you test this requirement. Okay, so there is even format here as well. The format is given, then, and when. Okay, now what are given, then, when? First thing is you should have a working login page, right? You should have your account created on Gmail. You should have your credentials with you, right? And the other part is when you enter credentials, a success message should be displayed. What is the success message? Message that you are logged into this page, right? So this is how you write acceptance criteria. Now, how this acceptance criteria is useful when a developer is working on it. First, you understood the requirement, and second, these are the helping points him to while working on this requirement. At the same time, acceptance criteria also help testers to test these requirements once it is developed. So this is how a complete user story looks like. So you will be logging in these user stories in the system. Okay. Now, since this part is completed user stories, I would want to go ahead to the next part. What are the artifacts in a Scrum? Right. So the first artifact is that I'll have a product backlog. Product backlog is nothing but the items in scope, like what all product I want to work in this project, right? Second is sprint backlog. Sprint backlog is nothing but suppose I am delivering a few stories. So I will be having a collection of stories in a sprint. And similarly, I'll have multiple sprints going on with the different developers. So a PO might work with different teams, right? They will have different developers. And also we discussed that a project can have 2 BA as well, or maybe 3 BA, depending on the size of project. If it is a large project, if it is like high level, then you might have multiple sprints going on in parallel, right? So you want to see which sprint you want to execute first and who will be executing. So here in sprint backlog, you want to select the correct stories and you want to put into the current sprint. Then I have an increment. Increment is nothing but suppose right now I have a product, okay, wherein I have its version is 0. When I say 0, as in something, there is nothing developed. But by end of this sprint, I have a increment, maybe product 1. When I say product 1, I have something developed in this product 1. So you always have an increment. Then user stories, we just show like what is the format as a, this is called persona. I want what feature I want. So that value, what is the value you are getting, right? These are your Scrum artifacts. You remember in the initial part of this session, I mentioned that Agile is less on documentation. So all of these things that you are seeing here is nothing documented. All of these things you can always directly create in the system itself. Like Jira you are having, you can create all of them in Jira. You are having ServiceNow. In ServiceNow, there is a module called Agile. Agile Development. So you can log your user stories there. You can create products, you can create sprint, right? So now, whatever we have discussed so far, all of them you can see in this visual representation. Right. First part is, as I mentioned, protect back. Can we?
Nishan, do you mind going to the previous slide?
I'm coming. This one?
Yeah,
You're
the
talking
previous
about this
one.
one?
No, the previous one. Just for a
Okay.
second. Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay. No, all good. You get to move forward.
Here?
No, you're all good to continue. All good. I
Oh,
got it.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, in this, see, whatever we have discussed so far, now you can visualize everything. Right. First, I have a product. Product owner is taking care of these product. And if product owner is not there, then as a BA, you are taking that responsibility. Right. In this product, then you have a sprint backlog. Product backlog will have multiple products going on, which are coming in as a requirement from the client. And then you have a sprint backlog. There are multiple sprints. This is one sprint, second, third, fourth, fifth. And a sprint has nothing but user stories. Suppose the one box is missing here. Or let me add that box. You have list of stories. Okay, from this list of stories, you will be adding the sprints, right? Now, based on what sprint we want to execute, you will start in this planning phase. You would be putting the stories into that sprint, and then it starts. You start with implementation. And implementation, how it works, right? You'll start working on it. You know, all the daily scrum that we discussed, that you will be discussing what we have discussed yesterday, what we want to do today, how is it going, is there any issue. Sprint usually happens for 1 or 4 weeks, right? So this is your daily scrum. And once this sprint completes, you will have a review with the client. In case there is feedback, you will take this feedback, and in the next sprint, you would want to incorporate and work on it. After then, you will be having a retrospective, all the things that we discussed. By end of the sprint, you are ticking. See all the product that you were supposed to complete, you will see all of them are being completed here, one by one in each of the sprint. So that's how you complete a product. So this is all is there as part of your Scrum. Now, if I tell you what all the responsibilities BA is performing here. So BA would be first writing and refining the user stories. And we've already seen how to write a user story. Second, you will be defining the acceptance criteria, right? You will prioritize with the PO on the user stories, what all user stories we want to deliver. And then you will facilitate communications between business and developers in case developer has any question on any of the story. So you will be conducting a session with, first, you will be able to answer those queries. If not, then you will be conducting a communication with the client, right? You will participating in sprint ceremonies. You will support in demo and UAT. UAT is nothing but your user acceptance testing, right? So this is your session for today. In so far in the first 3 sessions, we have understood a good knowledge. We have taken a good knowledge on what is the responsibilities of BA, where exactly BA would be performing those responsibilities in a project, different phases of a project. And today we discussed about one of the way of delivering a project that is widely accepted, and it is Agile. In Agile, one of the framework is Scrum. So we have seen Scrum framework today. Okay, now from next week onwards, we'll start discussing these project phases and deliverables. Like first, we'll see in the designing phase. First, how to identify the stakeholders, right? Then, what all documents are needed. Then, what all documents you will create. Like as we've seen in Scrum, you're not supposed to create any document as such, right? It is all there in your system. But again, I want you to learn about how to create a BRD, how to create FRD, and then how do you create a process diagram, right? After that is done, then we would be going on how to write these user stories. How do you log into a system, correct? And this what is product backlog. We'll see how sprint works, right? This is all we want to cover it in the next session. So in next session, you will be having first theoretical, then demo, and then you will be given some assignment that you want to complete. Right. For today, this is all we want. I wanted to cover, and I will be also sharing some shortcuts, not shortcuts, but some way wherein you can learn these things, or at the time, suppose you are having interview or anything, so you can look up to those materials. So those materials we will be sharing. One quick example that I can show you here is this, like how it works. All the things, Scrum, what are the different product backlog, Scrum team, task size, iteration, estimation, what are the events? Events are nothing but your sprint ceremonies, right? So I will be sharing this information. But before, even if I share this information, I am sure when we will cover all the sessions next week, you already would be having a good understanding of all of them. But for your reference, suppose you want to take a refresher, you want to revise it, so you can take a look at those in those documents. I will be also sharing how to create user stories, right? On those, that document will also I will be sharing with you. But that document will definitely come in your, in the starting we have seen this phase. As I mentioned in this ITVM agile development in ServiceNow, how do you work on it? Here I will be sharing those documents with you. Okay. Before we wrap today's session, I want to have uh, questions. If you have any, if not, then I will be asking quick questions. Just maybe 2 or 3 minutes I'll take. First, I'm giving an opportunity. If you have any questions that you want to ask from our, even from our previous sessions, first or second session, you can ask, and even from today's session as well. I'm opening the floor for everyone. Do we have any question? Now you can ask all the questions, be it related to ServiceNow, related to the session that we've completed so far, or any other doubt if you're having.
So I have a question
Yes, please.
regarding ServiceNow. So say ServiceNow, when it is implemented, so I think there are different functionalities, or I think ServiceNow is like an application. So when a client or a customer requires certain um, creation or certain, I mean, when they want some functions or features to be added on the ServiceNow, that is when the BA role becomes effective. Like you have to understand why they need it, how they need it, and what is required of that service now. And then you work on those service now to create users to, I mean, like how you explain and using the same agile methodology. I'm just trying to understand, will this agile fit in the service now requirements exactly like how you explain?
Yes, this is how it will be going. In the project phases, you remember in the last class, we have discussed the various phases that are there, and how exactly you would be working is what we will be discussing in the next classes. So far, we only did theoretical. We try to map it with how in ServiceNow you would be having these sessions various phases, what are your inputs, what responsibilities you are having. In the next class, I would be discussing about if you have to identify stakeholders, which stakeholders will help you to get the right requirement, right? From which stakeholder you want to take an approval, right? If you are having very first meeting, what you will be speaking, will you be speaking or not? Or at all, if you have to go prepared, or what all preparations you would be having. So that we will be discussing in the next week, Santosh.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, Michael.
Thank you for the class so far. I was just wondering, maybe due to the time constraint, everything is a little bit rushy and you're dishing out a lot of information across different, phases of BA, I believe, but is 1 hour the deadline for for all of the classes? Is that like a benchmark for all of the classes? Because doesn't like you have enough time to entertain questions. And also, just curious to want to know.
Michael, I'm really sorry, but I think there is I'm not able to hear. Maybe some issue at on my end. Is it possible? Can you write your query in the chat, please?
Yeah, and
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Any other query from anyone?
Yeah. When we mean
Yes, please.
when we mean product, is it a software? Is it a tangible product or a methodology?
Oh, okay. Product is see, whenever you are working in ServiceNow or any of the requirement, right? You would be having a name of it, right? That's correct. Project end result, right? So you would be as you said, it's intangible, but it is there in your system. Suppose Excel is my product. Okay, in Excel, I suppose right now I have home button, insert, page layout, formulas, data. The requirement can be that in Excel, I want to add one more tab here. Do you see this? Insert is one, then I have page layout, this option. I want to add one more feature here. So for me, I have a product in that I have one requirement. The requirement is this. That requirement, then I will be creating user stories. Maybe I can create, suppose this is my new button. I can have one story on create PDF, one story on create PDF and share Outlook, one story on create PDF. So overall, um, my product here is Excel, Epic here is Acrobat, and user stories are these different small components that I'm creating.
Okay, I get it. And now who is responsible for the wireframe, the BA or the development team?
See, usually it's your BA, but understand, um, see, all of the regular information or the regular thing you would have experienced of a BA, like as you mentioned, wireframe is there, then there is mind mapping and other things, right? In service, when you're working the ServiceNow project, you might not be able to perform all of those things. But if you ask me the responsibility, yes, it's your BA who is doing these things. Mind mapping, wireframing, and all of these things. Clear? Okay. I see. Let me see if we have any query from my side's unmuted. Okay. I can't even hear anything. Do we have same issue from anyone else?
No.
Okay, okay. So so this is last two question. Just
Okay.
want to see like how all of the wonderful people were attentive. Um, can you tell me which ceremony helps us improve process? Anyone? We discussed there were 4 ceremonies. Which ceremony do you think helps us improve the process?
Print retrospective.
Perfect. And who owns product backlog?
Project owner.
Project owner.
Yeah.
Product owner. Product owner.
Correct.
Yeah, product
Correct.
owner. Sorry.
No problem. Why do we need acceptance criteria?
For development team to
Mhm.
test and understand if the desired results are achieved.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. So just a quick thing that, these kind of question I do keep ask at any random point just to see whether you are attentive. And also I will be asking few questions from the past sessions as well. So that, uh, I am aware that you are listening to my sessions and you are following my sessions. And in case I feel that you were still, missing out on some point, I'll take 5 or 10 minutes. We'll try to explain you and then we'll move forward. So this is the regular practice I do have once in a week with all of my students. So you can expect this to be happening in upcoming sessions. So this is it from my side. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Sudesh.
Thank you, Nishant. Thank you so much for the wonderful training and a great participation from everybody. A lot of questions. I see that you guys are eager to learn. Fantastic. We had an amazing 3 sessions and we had a lot of participants coming in. Keep up the same momentum, guys. I want to talk about the next few steps. Yes, this is a kind of training boot camp which is not just certification based, but it'll prepare you for the job. Okay, Nishant is he's a working consultant, and he's got tons of experience, and so we're going to help you go 0 to 100 in 2.5 months. The first 3 sessions, complimentary sessions, are concluded. So we are giving an opportunity for you to understand how we train you, how we're going to coach you, and many of the people I have spoken here, and I remember that. If you haven't spoken to me yet, you must talk to me if you are deciding to go forward. So the schedule for this program is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and it can go all the way till 10 o'clock. And you can be at convenience of your home. You can log in from Zoom and you can learn. And so in the next few days, we're going to create a WhatsApp group where you can communicate with the trainers real time, and we'll be starting to share all real time assignments from Monday. So the next section is Monday evening at 8:30 p.m. This weekend you must register to this program to start. We are offering you 3 installments. For the US guys it's 1250 USD, which is got 3 installments. For Canadian guys is 1700. Again, it's 3 installments. I do want to tell you, my placement services, we charge $1,200. And BA training alone costs $1,500, but we're not charging you for BA training. We're not charging you for background verification. So we are only offering you, you're only paying for, just for the ServiceNow training at 1,700. By next program, the same program training will be offered at $2,500. This is the last program you can get this price. And not only that, this is the best time to learn. Come Jan 20th onwards, the market is going to open up, and the job market will be hot from Jan 20 till August until September. We have a very small window of time, and you will be going 0 to 100 in the next 3 months. And we are confident that with our training, with our interview preparations, with our resumes, what we give you, and the placement assistance which we'll give you, you will be able to secure and kickstart your journey as a ServiceNow consultant, right? So we will be reaching out to you this weekend. Please expect a call from my team, and we will try to connect with you. If you want to reach out to us, please kindly text us, or WhatsApp us or email us so that we can reach out to you faster. Okay. Any other questions for me? So Nishant is our trainer, and I'm the person. I'm basically, this is a Canadian-based company. We are based out of Toronto, but we do business across US and Canada. And now we have folks from UK and India and many other countries also coming in because we have specialization, and we are the only people who are supporting and helping people move into ServiceNow functional career now. Any other questions before I close today? Afreen,
So far, so good.
Jared, good. Santosh, Amol, Arshia, Shimisi, Henry, Jatin, Jawahari, Josephine, Josh, Michael, Mohammadi, Marsh, Monica, Mujib, Nima, Niyati, Ravleen, Sai, Santosh, Surya, Tarek, Visa. Any questions?
So
Okay,
far,
then.
so
So
good.
you all have, sorry, any questions?
No, so far, so good.
So good. All right. Awesome. So let me connect with you guys today, this weekend, and I'll start enrolling you guys. And I'm super excited for you. You guys have an amazing, amazing weekend. Let's come back on Monday evening, and we'll continue our journey to become a ServiceNow consultant. Okay. Thank you so much, and have a great night.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Sudeep.
guys. Thank
Thank
you,
you so much.
Nishant.
Thank
Good night.
you. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye.